Hi, this is an explanation of how to complete number 13D on the M3 Algebra 2 midterm review packet. Directions in number 13 are to find the inverse of the function in simplest form, and then to state the domain and range of both the original function and its inverse. So the function in letter D is f of x equals negative x to the 6th plus 2. The domain is already given. That's the x is less than or equal to 0, so I'm just going to rewrite that in interval notation. So that will translate into negative infinity, comma, 0 with a square bracket. I could either find the range graphically or numerically. If I think of it graphically, I could see that the graph is sort of like an upside down parabola. It's not quite a parabola, but the highest y value it attains is 2. So that makes the range everything less than or equal to 2. Or in interval notation, negative infinity to 2 with a square bracket on the 2. If I were to do this numerically, I could see that the negative x to the 6th is always going to come out to be less than or equal to 0, no matter what I plug in for x. So if I add 2 to that, the answer will always be less than or equal to 2. So then that would be another way of seeing that my range is everything less than or equal to 2. So now I'm going to actually find the inverse. So this equation, the f of x is really the y equals. So that's y equals negative x to the 6th plus 2. I'm going to switch the x's to y's and the y's to x's to form the inverse. So this, x equals negative y to the 6th plus 2, is actually the equation of the inverse already, but I need to get the y alone in its new location to be able to write this in function notation. So I'm going to add the y to the 6th to both sides and subtract the x. That gives me y to the 6th equals 2 minus x. And then when I take the 6th root of both sides, this creates a plus or minus sign, because 6th root is an even root. So if this isn't my inverse yet, I have to decide whether the plus or the minus is appropriate to keep in my equation. And only one of them will be correct. So that's where the range comes in. The domain of the original problem is going to become the range of my inverse. So if my original domain is negative infinity to 0, that's going to be the range of my inverse. If the range of the original problem is everything less than or equal to 2, then that will be the domain of the inverse. And you can even see from our equation it would make sense that the x's in the inverse have to be less than or equal to 2 in order for that to be a real number. So now when I look at my range, the y's have to come out to be less than or equal to 0. And in order to make that happen, we would have to have y equals negative 6th root of 2 minus x. So the inverse equation is negative 6th root of 2 minus x.